Welcome, patrons. It's that time in the season again where I go through your comments and face the errors of my ways. Today we'll be going over videos for the Summer 2018 edition, which means they fall between the dates of June 21st and September 22nd. IDW Comics of Dragon Age. The Sylph Wind says, wait, could you cover the tabletop game? Maybe run a session? That would be awesome. Or if you've covered the tabletop already, could you point me to the right link to watch your review? With the DA tabletop, I have found if it is successful or not being a DA game/story comes more from the DM players than the source material in the core rulebook. As I say as someone that got into tabletop watching a DA campaign, which led to playing in others years later and watching other campaigns since. This is less about the video, more a question I get asked a lot, but will I cover the Dragon Age RPG? Maybe? I don't know. I do use the DA RPG lore a lot in my videos already, so if I went over it, it would really only just be me talking about specific pre-made campaigns that exist, and maybe touching on some of the game mechanics and what that could mean for lore, blah, blah, blah. I'll be honest, it's way, way, way down on my list of things I want to talk about. That and the Dragon Age Heroes mobile game, because that's just like pay-to-win bullshit. I don't know, I'm not really a big fan of that. But I guess my main issue with talking about the DA RPG set is that I've only played it for a few hours at best, and I don't really have a full grasp on how it works at all. I'm really not that experienced at tabletop games. I really only have a basic understanding of it, to be honest. If maybe one day I'll get a group of people together and we could play it on stream, I would love to do that. I just haven't really had the chance or really the right group formed. I don't know, we'll see. Besides that, another reason I don't really talk about the tabletop on its own a lot is because there's already a great place to learn about that. The Wonders of Theda's podcast is a much better job than I could do because I think they actually know what they're talking about. They've been going since 2016 and already have a great library and sources and information on the tabletop game. So at the moment, I'm pretty content with letting them have all of the serious tabletop talk. I haven't really had the pleasure of listening to their entire library, but the episodes I have listened to are great, and I would recommend it to anyone wanting to play the game. Even more so if you're just interested in the RPG and not the video games at all. So, long story short, will I cover the tabletop game? If I get really desperate for content, yes, then I'll go over the tabletop game. Vollen. Big Fat Carp 93 says, the Qun isn't really a religion, it's a belief system. I can't remember the source, unfortunately, but I believe it has been said that the Qun does involve some kind of true theological belief, but that the Qunari just won't tell anyone what it is, which, is characteristic of them. So I haven't been able to find an in-lore source for this. Not that I don't think it exists, I just can't find it at the moment. But I do want to point out a tweet by David Gator dating back from 2012. In it, he says, neither Morgan nor the Qun are atheist. If someone prefers to believe that's what their character is, more power to them. From this, it does seem to hint that there is some sort of worship to the Qun, but we just haven't really heard of it yet. Now granted, this is a really old source, so part of me wonders if they have trashed the idea, but if it does end up being true, it must be a really weird religion that only allows certain members to worship. Like, what if the Qun is like Scientology, where you have to pay enough money? Well, they don't really have money, do they? Like you have to be in a higher echelons of the Qun society to learn that they worship some sort of insane alien theory or whatever. I'm really trashing Scientology because they're a cult, but whatever. Anyway, we really have no proof towards anything at all that they worship anything. It's really just this tweet that I have found, at least. Maybe there is something there that I haven't seen. But I feel like if they would introduce some sort of religion, it would just really come out of nowhere for me. So I kind of don't want them to be honest. But we'll see where it goes, I guess. Dragon Age Redemption. Chosen Redead says, wait, there are graves and bodies in Inquisition. The quest where you play Ring Around the Rosie and the dude comes to eat your face. And Bruce Tommen says, and Pipple rising as undead is why moist Pipple and Thedas are buried. I'm making fun of it, but he is right. I feel like I need to explain myself a bit with this comment, as a few videos before this, and including this one, I go off on a couple of media tie-ins that show people burying their dead, as that's not how most of Thedas does it. So I guess a quick and dirty overview of the dead in Thedas, because this is related. Most human societies in Thedas burn their dead, and it's what you would do under Chantry tradition. The reason for this is exactly what Bruce describes. Buried bodies can be possessed with spirits and attack the living. That's why I make a big fuss over it. Now, not all societies do this. The Navaran actually welcomes and includes spirits taking over the dead, and they actually house them in a giant fake city thing. The dwarves bury their dead in the rock, and there is some like stone mumbo jumbo, but we have seen demons of dwarves who were rejected by the stone or the gange, whatever it is. The Dalish also seem to have a unique thought on this in that they bury their dead, but they also plant a tree on top of it. I imagine that mostly serves as a grave marker, but maybe it's also a way to entangle the corpse so that nothing is possessed and can't get out. But yeah, the reason I make a kind of a big fuss over it is it's kind of irresponsible just to bury your dead because they can get possessed and attack people. So I get how the dwarves do it because they do it of way, like, they're burying their dead in the deep roads. There's so much bullshit in the deep roads. Like, undead is not what anyone's worried about. And then in Navarra, they actually take very good care of the undead or whatever. And in the Dalish, they bury them with shit on top of it, so they probably can't rise up as easily. Like, just burying them with rocks seems to not do the trick, because how many undead do you have to fight in the game? Like, burying their dead isn't a good option. That's why they want to burn it. It's a safety issue. So yeah, the reason why it bothered me in Dragon Age Redemption and specifically is that you would think a Qunari operative, and the Qunari is very anti-spirits and magic and all that stuff, they'd be making sure all bodies, at the very least, for the guy she likes, would be treated in a way that wouldn't be risky towards others. And that's not even including that a Templar would want to have proper Chantry burial rites, and a Talus would probably think that, like, yeah, that's... I want to honor this man by giving him the rights, you know, like, she knows... I guess I don't know that she knows, but I would assume that she knows that Chantry rites include burning. But yeah, I get it. They didn't have the budget for that. I'm not really that mad on it. Part of it was just kind of me being annoyed about it and persnickety, but that's half of my channel, right? Anyway. Keeper Knox says, Nairi does indeed introduce herself in the cave after she's paid by Talus. Don't worry, it's not like the Orson Scott Card comics where everyone knows each other's names. And then I said, yeah, I replied. But yeah, I just want to include this to say I was wrong and that the characters don't magically know her name. The end. Thanks for pointing that out. The Friends of Red Jenny. Jesper, 1999 says, I meant to ask in my previous comment, is Slim Coldry a Jenny? I've heard this as a fan theory before, with some people saying that it would make sense for him to be, while others saying that the quest he gives wouldn't fit in with the line of Jennies that we know. But in either case, there's not really solid proof. We don't know. Now, granted, those saying that the quests aren't Red Jenny enough, all Red Jennies are a bit different, so I don't think that's fair to say. I do feel like if he was supposed to be, the game would have told you, though. That being said, I can totally see that being a thing they say in the future of like, oh, he was a Red Jenny, he didn't know the entire time, type of thing. Kal Sharok. The tall warden says, the ideas of people becoming paragons based on their promises is kind of fitting if, as a whole, they are predisposed to die young. They know they don't have much time or a lifetime to tinker and perfect something that might make someone in Orzammar a paragon. Instead, they promise their intentions as they spend their life working on it, and even if they die before they finish, the idea is the important part, as that is there for the next generation to take up. I have little to comment on it because it just... this makes a lot of sense to something I thought was very odd. So yeah, great comment. Hanarin says, the Archon's name is Darinius, not Denarius. God, I'm the worst. BioWare, I have a lot of demands, actually, but one thing that would make my life so much easier if you stop having names that are, like, a very few letters off. I can't handle it. Like, I've mentioned this a few times. I have a mild dyslexia, and small spelling differences are the bane of my existence. Like, look at the spelling in the comment. Like, it's 2 letters flipped. All the letters flip, man. I don't know. But yeah, I I just always assumed Fenris's slaver was named after the first Tevinter Archon or whatever. And it's not. This is... Look, you guys, this is why you need to get into the lore yourselves, because there will always be flaws, because I can't read. So this is another pronunciation video, so I'm going to start off using the pronunciation I use in the video. So Gero says, I always read Quinarius as Ka, as in the first part of Caterpillar, Rinus, the O of school, Carinus. At least I'm pretty sure how that's said. I honestly spent like 10 minutes here trying to pronounce this out, because again, not my expertise, guys. Anyway, two things on this. One, Gero is probably right, and I can't pronounce stuff to save my life. So I think going forward, use their pronunciation and not whatever I was saying. And two, apparently it doesn't even matter anymore. And according to the new Dragon Age Deception, the whole town decided to rename itself to Ventus. Yes, I'm not joking at all. This is a real thing that exists. This name is no longer relevant for the most part. On the bright side, I think it's a lot easier to say. But anyway. Human tribes. HHRR says, I think Sola said that he saw the destruction of Barandar in the Fade. He claimed it was a volcanic eruption which buried the city in lava and ash similar to Pompeii in real life. He did. I'm being an ass about your comment, but you are right. The only reason I didn't mention it in the video is that I wanted to keep things no spoilers, and granted, it would be a very small spoilers, but I do try to take my tags seriously. But yeah, the city of I almost said Pompeii, Barandor didn't actually disappear from the destruction of Dumat or whatever. It was just exploded in a pile of ash like Pompeii. Which, wouldn't that be cool to visit? Well, I guess... It's cool to visit Pompeii now because it's been excavated, so maybe it wouldn't be cool to visit Barandor because it hasn't been excavated. It's just going to be like a field. But if they ever excavate it, that'd be a really interesting thing to come and watch. But anyway, Tuxedo T Servo, I think. Tux.servo, maybe? I don't know. By the way, do we know what happened to the Chastened? We see a few about in Lothering before it is destroyed, and they were refugees fleeing the Darkspawn in the Kokari Wilds. Is it possible they have been wiped out, or at least decimated enough to just stragglers? So, we do know a few things, like many Chastened did move up into Ferelden during the Blight, so there are Chastened people still about. By the time of Inquisition, I wouldn't even be surprised if many of them moved back into the Kokari Wilds. The Blight didn't hit the entire swamp, so I'm sure there are some pockets that are fine. I really don't think the Chastened were wiped out at all, or even just stragglers. I do think there are some pretty solid settlements. But while many did die, there hasn't been any word that they've all died out, or even if they still exist, to be honest. After Origins, there hasn't really been that much on them. So I think... I don't know. I don't think they've all died out because I feel like they would have said something if they did. But at the moment, I think they're mostly okay. Maybe? We'll see. Warden's Fall. Before I read out the next comment, I think it needs a bit of explanation. In the video, I mentioned that while the videos were produced with Machinima, the videos were no longer up on their YouTube channel, even though a few years ago, I was able to view them on it. Or at least that's what I remembered. When I was making the video, I thought that maybe I had just made it up in my mind, and it was because this was like 3 years ago or something. I really thought my mind was playing tricks on me. But then I get this comment from Annabelle that says, I watched this a couple months ago, maybe January or February on the Machinima channel, so it must be a pretty recent thing if they did remove it. So then the videos were taken down within the year, which I find interesting. I don't know much of Machinima, but did they purge their channel or something? Why take it down? I don't know if it was a dispute from BioWare or maybe even the makers of the short film, because I think it was made with Machinima, but I don't think it was made by Machinima. I don't know Machinima that well. I can't really say for certain. I don't really know what happened, and I don't think we'll actually ever really get the answer, but for the time being, you can still watch it on the Riot Films channel, which belongs to Jason Choi, who helped make the episodes. And that, dear patrons, is all that I have to say that I think would be useful. But I do want to talk about channel updates real quick. As you may have noticed, my schedule is a bit wonky at the moment. I think like this is supposed to be a Thursday video and it's coming out on Friday. My Wednesday video came out on Thursday, and that's happened like a couple weeks in a row. So I just want to give a bit of explanation. I'm doing a lot behind the scenes, including getting some new equipment, which I am now using a new mic, and it's all nice and pretty, and I have a stand now, and it works. I'm still kind of working through exactly how to use it, so this is a journey we'll go through together, guys. Anyway, but along with that, I'm also doing a lot of other video projects on the side, which aren't really just for this channel. There's also a couple other things. And to be honest, I'm completely laying myself bare here. I've just bitten off more than I could chew at the moment. I decided to say yes to a whole bunch of things, and it's a lot. There's a lot. Anyway, so Codex entries are coming back, although I'm probably going to change the day they're released on. Right now I'm thinking like maybe Tuesdays, we'll see. But I'll be updating my channel banner with that as well when I have a solid schedule down. So thank you all for putting up with my mess here, and I'm so sorry that things haven't been as consistent, because I do pride myself on my consistency. So maybe I'm taking it harder than you would. But anyway, hopefully by the time this year ends, we can all get back to our normal lives. Also, like, going to the comments, I've had a couple of comments of people asking me to play my canon run of Dragon Age Origins. But I'm already doing that. Granted, it's on a different channel. So Jordan and I have started a joint streaming channel on YouTube called Codex Added. I'm about halfway through Origins already, and I stream on Tuesdays. Perhaps while you're there, you might also want to watch me be frustrated at The Witcher, or Jordan and I play a completely normal version of Inquisition. Anyway, do you still have lingering questions, proof that I'm wrong, comments about your own fan theory, feel free to tweet me at Gildathon on Twitter, or send a PM to user Galanon on Reddit. Duress Sherall.